Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The transfer portal is continuing to be active in Oregon, continuing to be active, getting some transfers out of this class as Kyrie Jackson, the former Alabama cornerback, a kid in the 2021 class out of JUCO, was a top 5 national product, has committed to Oregon. This is a really interesting get, and I think it's a position group of need for the Oregon Ducks. Before we get into this player, what it means for the program, I just want to say thank you guys for the support you guys have shown the channel. Again, we love talking ball. We love talking ball with you guys in the comment section, and the support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So the best way you can support us is if you like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Liking the video helps. We really do appreciate your guys' support. Let's start talking a little Kyrie Jackson. So the length is the first thing that stands out. This is 6'3", 200-pound guy. He's very smooth. There's a reason that coming out of that JUCO class, every SEC team wanted him, including the Georgia Bulldogs, where Dan Lanning previously was. There's no doubt he kept his eye on him, and immediately when Kyrie Jackson hit the portal, Dan Lanning was definitely reaching out, trying to get him interested in coming to Eugene. I think the short story of this kid is he's a very talented dude that just didn't get enough reps at Alabama, hence he hits the portal. Dan Lanning obviously likes this guy from a talent standpoint. He's recruited him twice now. He recruited him back in 2021 out of JUCO. Now he's back recruiting him to Oregon through the transfer portal. The most important story for me on this is two things. Oregon continuing, and Dan Lanning continuing to recruit guys through the portal from the SEC. Obviously, it worked with Bo Nix last year. He goes out and gets 2 Alabama kids in Kyrie Jackson and Trayshawn Holden. And I would not be surprised when we see some Georgia guys hit that portal after the college football playoffs. He's getting active with some of those guys as well. Dan Lanning is a guy that wants to turn this roster around. I mean, it's a talented team, but Dan Lanning plays a little different brand than what Mario Cristobal wanted to do, and he's going to go out and get his guys. The next biggest thing I think we should focus on is this is probably the biggest position in need, especially with a guy like Christian Gonzalez probably going to the draft this year. This was the weakest part of this Oregon team, especially their defense. I mean, this offense ran the ball very well. I thought the wide receiver play was good. It was a very complete offense. On defense, I actually liked what they had in the front seven with guys like DJ Johnson, Brandon Dorlus, Noah Sewell. I think their biggest struggle was the secondary. And outside of Christian Gonzalez, it was a very young secondary. They had previously had a lot of guys leave for the NFL. And it was unproven. It didn't have much depth, and it was inexperienced. And you're getting a guy who has played a lot of college football. He comes from the SEC. And that's kind of a proven track record. That looks to be what Oregon wants to do under Dan Lanning, is go out and get some guys who, for whatever reason, didn't work out. And you saw this a lot with Alabama guys. I mean, there are some Alabama guys in the transfer portal that aren't just bad football players. That program really struggled last year on both sides of the ball. And you're seeing from that program a lot of guys that aren't transferring because they aren't good enough to play. They're transferring because they need a new start. And I think you're going to see a lot of guys from Alabama be significant contributors at their next school. And hopefully for Oregon Duck fans, both Kyrie Jackson and Trayshawn Holden from Alabama will be doing that for Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. Again, Dan Lanning seems to be using the portal, in my mind, the right way, where it's like you're not going to go out and get 20, 25 guys through the portal like Ole Miss does, although it has worked for Ole Miss, USC in the past. Dan Lanning wants to recruit guys out of high school, and then he wants to develop those guys. You use the transfer portal kind of like what Michigan's been doing, where we need some more depth at certain positions. And we're going to go out and get proven guys who played collegiate ball, that have played at a high level, that are coming in to kind of fill in those depth charts as opposed to trying to turn around a whole roster. Dan Lanning clearly putting his emphasis on recruiting the high school level, developing those guys, and then going to the transfer portal when it's a need, when it's a position group that you want to add more depth to, whether it's a particular guy. I think in this case, Kyrie Jackson was a particular dude that Dan Lanning once recruited during his time at Georgia and saw him hit the portal again and said, I like this dude then. I like this dude now. Let's go out and get him. Brings him in for a visit this weekend. It obviously went well, and he gets his commitment. 2 Alabama guys heading to Eugene, I think will both be significant producers for Oregon in 2023. And if you're looking at Oregon in the future of this program, obviously the Pac-12 is up in the air. But in terms of how they're going to look next year, if they can get Bo Nix back, this team is going to be dangerous. And I really like how Dan Lanning is addressing a position in need with a talented dude that is not only going to add depth, but I think the ceiling for this kid is very, very high. He's a top 50 kid in the portal. He can play ball. He's got the length. He's got the smooth athleticism. He just got to put it together on the field. I trust Dan Lanning to get the best out of him there. Wanted to keep it short again. Appreciate you guys and all the support you've shown. If you do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.